Things you do that makes you look desperate, G. One, double texting. And then that question mark when she doesn't respond to you. It's cooked, G. It's even worse when she doesn't think you're attractive. Second, being too available. That means replying instantly every time, dropping everything to see her, or saying things like, oh, I got nothing else going on. I'm free whenever you are. That means you got no life, G. 3, showering her with unnecessary compliments. Stop saying, you're so beautiful. Every message, bro.
What most men don't realize is that desperation rarely shows up in obvious ways. It doesn't always look like begging, chasing, or constantly calling a woman. In fact, some of the most desperate behaviors are the quiet ones men think are completely normal. They believe they're being kind, attentive, or respectful, when in reality they're slowly lowering their value without even noticing it. Today, we're going to talk about 7 subtle signs you're acting desperate in the modern dating world. These are the small habits, reactions, and patterns women pick up on very quickly, even when you think you're hiding them well. And the truth is, once a woman senses desperation, it changes the entire dynamic of how she sees you. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I'm glad you're here. I spend a lot of time helping men understand the psychology behind attraction, communication, and the signals women actually respond to. In this video, I'm going to show you a few clips that highlight behaviors many men overlook. After each one, I'll break it down and explain exactly what's happening beneath the surface, so you can recognize it in your own dating life and avoid making the same mistake. Let's get into the first sign. 1. Over-texting and constant checking in.
Okay, here is what you think you look like when you double text versus what the other person actually sees. And what I mean by double text is that like you text once, they don't reply, and then you send another text, which is so scary. And like you think you're being sweet, you know, like showing effort, you know, following up, but they see it as like pressure and neediness and that like you've got no other options. You're so desperate for this person's reply. Because attraction is not built over text in like over-explaining yourself in these like needy little text bubbles. So like less typing, more living. And if the person isn't responding to you, maybe they're not the person for you.
Over-texting and constant checking in is one of the most common ways a man can unknowingly sabotage his own attraction. You might think that sending messages frequently or double-checking if she's okay shows care, attention, or interest. But what it really signals is anxiety and insecurity. When a woman notices that her phone is constantly buzzing with your messages, it doesn't make her feel closer. It makes her feel like she has all the power and you're handing it over without a fight. Here's the subtle part most men miss. It's not about being absent or cold. It's about timing and restraint. Women notice patterns. And if she sees that you're always available, always responding instantly, and constantly seeking to keep the conversation alive, her brain starts to label you as too eager. That label is hard to shake because it taps into the emotional side of attraction. Attraction grows when there's a sense of mystery, challenge, and independence, not when someone is always at her fingertips. Think of it like this. Every text you send should serve a purpose. If your messages are just filling silence, asking questions she could answer later, or checking if she's thinking about you, you're giving her more control over the dynamic than you realize. On the other hand, a man who communicates with clarity, confidence, and calm sends a completely different signal. He shows he has his own life, his own value, and his own standards, without needing constant reassurance from her. Later in this video, we'll watch clips of men over-texting, and I'll break down exactly what a woman sees and feels when this happens. Once you understand it, you'll start recognizing it in your own behavior and be able to adjust immediately, without losing your authenticity or charm. 2. Seeking validation too often.
Sometimes people just don't like you. They just don't like you, but you're too busy chasing their validation that you're not even noticing. And if you're thinking to yourself, why would someone be around me if they don't like me? Because you're easy. Because you have no boundaries. Because you're agreeable. Because they say jump, you say how high. Because it doesn't matter how bad their behavior is, you will always be there. Because you're not paying attention to their character. You're not paying attention to how they treat you. You're not paying attention to how they make you feel. You're just trying to get chosen.
Seeking validation too often is another subtle trap that can quietly destroy a man's attractiveness without him even realizing it. This isn't about confidence or ego. It's about the small, repeated behaviors where you're constantly looking for reassurance from her, asking if she likes you, if she's thinking about you, or fishing for compliments. On the surface, it might feel harmless or even charming, but what women actually pick up on is a lack of self-assurance. Here's the thing. Attraction isn't built on approval. It's built on respect, curiosity, and independence. When you're seeking constant validation, it puts the woman in the driver's seat, and you're sitting in the passenger seat, hoping she'll approve of every thought, every move, every word. It doesn't matter if she likes you. If she senses that her opinion is the only thing keeping your confidence afloat, it chips away at the tension and excitement that fuels attraction. The interesting part most men don't see is that validation seeking often comes in disguised forms. You might over-explain your actions, brag subtly to get praise, or double-check that she's impressed by what you do. Each of these small behaviors signals one thing. You need her approval to feel good about yourself. And even if she never says it, her subconscious notices, and it lowers her perception of your value. The solution is simple but not easy. Build confidence from within. Take pride in your life, your choices and your standards, independent of her reaction. Learn to trust your instincts and your worth without needing constant feedback. Later in this video, we'll break down examples of men who fall into this trap, and I'll show you exactly how it comes across and how to adjust without losing your natural charm. Once you recognize it, you can stop giving away your power in subtle ways and start commanding respect effortlessly. 3. Agreeing with everything she says. Agreeing with everything she says might seem like a safe move. You think nodding along, saying, "Yeah, absolutely" to every opinion, or never challenging her keeps the peace and makes her like you more. But here's the twist most men don't realize. Constantly agreeing actually lowers your value in her eyes. It signals that you don't have strong opinions, boundaries, or a sense of self, and attraction thrives on tension, mystery, and independence, not compliance. Women are naturally drawn to men who stand firm in their beliefs, who have a clear sense of what they like and what they won't tolerate. When you agree with everything, it sends the opposite signal. You're afraid of conflict, and your approval is easily earned. That's subtle desperation at work, and it erodes attraction quietly but powerfully. The intriguing part is how unconscious this behavior can be. You might think you're being polite, respectful, or easy to get along with, but women notice it on a deeper level. They may start to respect you less, or even unconsciously feel less attracted because there's nothing challenging them, nothing making them wonder about your depth or independence. It's the small things. Never debating, always laughing at her jokes, mirroring everything she says, that slowly shift the dynamic so she holds more power than you. The key here isn't to be argumentative or confrontational. It's to express your genuine thoughts confidently and calmly. Share your perspective, even if it's different. Show that your opinions matter and that your self-worth doesn't hinge on her agreement. Later, we'll watch clips of men falling into this trap and break down what women are actually sensing in these interactions. Once you see it in action, you'll understand why subtle independence is magnetic, and why agreeing too much quietly destroys your appeal. 4. Moving too fast emotionally or physically. Moving too fast, emotionally or physically, is one of the most overlooked ways men unintentionally signal desperation. You might think being open, affectionate, or eager to commit quickly shows loyalty or passion, but women don't see it that way. When a man rushes the pace, it actually creates pressure, and pressure kills attraction. It tells her that your emotions or desires are dependent on her, and that you're prioritizing her comfort over your own value. The intriguing part is how subtle it can be. Maybe you're sending long messages about your feelings after just a few dates, or assuming intimacy too soon because you want to feel close. On the surface, it seems harmless, even romantic. But underneath, it signals that you're trying to secure her affection rather than letting it develop naturally. Women are wired to respect a man who has patience, who sets his own pace, and who doesn't let the fear of loss dictate his actions. Here's where it gets educational. Attraction is about tension, not speed. The longer you give a woman space to invest in you emotionally, the stronger her interest becomes. If you move too fast, you remove the natural pull, and she unconsciously starts to take you for granted. Real connection grows when both sides invest gradually and intentionally, not when one person overwhelms the dynamic. Take the example of a man in a relationship who immediately shares all his vulnerabilities and expects the same in return. Initially, it feels like closeness, but soon she may feel suffocated and the excitement fades. The trick is to remain calm, measured, and self-contained while letting her wonder about your world, your life, and your intentions. Later, we'll analyze clips showing this in action so you can see exactly how moving too fast diminishes attraction, and how to reverse it without losing authenticity. 5. Reacting too strongly to minor setbacks. Reacting too strongly to minor setbacks is a subtle sign of desperation that many men don't even realize they're displaying. Let's take Alex as an example. A guy in a relationship who notices his girlfriend doesn't reply to a text immediately. Instead of staying calm and going about his day, he starts overthinking, sending follow-up messages, or making assumptions about what she's thinking. These small reactions might seem harmless in the moment, but to her, they signal insecurity and neediness. What makes this behavior so dangerous is how it shifts the dynamic. Women notice emotional overreactions because they reveal that a man's sense of stability and self-worth is dependent on her actions. When Alex reacts strongly to little things, like a delayed text, a canceled plan, or a minor disagreement, it tells her that he's emotionally reliant on her approval and validation. This subtle loss of autonomy lowers attraction without him even knowing it. Here's the educational insight. Emotional self-control is magnetic. A man who can stay composed when things don't go perfectly communicates strength, independence, and value. Alex could have handled the same situation by trusting himself and his life outside the relationship. By staying grounded and not overreacting, he shows that his happiness doesn't hinge on immediate responses or constant reassurance. The key takeaway is that women are drawn to men who can navigate small emotional bumps without losing confidence. Later in this video, we'll watch examples of men reacting too strongly and break down how women perceive it on a psychological level. Recognizing this behavior in yourself, like Alex eventually did, allows you to step back, respond thoughtfully, and maintain the dynamic that keeps attraction alive. Subtle self-mastery, not constant emotional fluctuation, is what keeps a woman genuinely invested. Understanding these 7 subtle signs of desperation isn't about changing who you are. It's about sharpening your awareness and protecting your value in the dating world. From over-texting to reacting too strongly, each behavior quietly shifts the dynamic, often without you realizing it. The good news is that once you recognize these patterns, you can adjust instantly, remain confident, and create the kind of attraction that lasts. Remember, attraction grows when you stay composed, independent, and intentional in your actions. Mastering these small, powerful habits isn't just smart, it's magnetic. Start noticing, start adjusting, and watch how the dynamic changes.